Well, it's finally Friday, and if that's not music to your ears, maybe this will be. From Hollywood, it's the world-famous Mojo Elliott with another action-packed adventure of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Unedited, unfiltered, and always uninhibited. I got to tell you, as a sports fan, I don't think I've ever had a day like I had on Thursday. The Lakers lost to the Chicago Bulls when Josh Giddey hit a 50-foot bomb with 2 seconds left in the game. Lakers beat Indiana the night before on a buzzer beater by LeBron James. So the basketball gods will giveth, and the basketball gods will taketh away. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins, my hockey team, they suck again this year. Third year, they won't make the playoffs. They lost 7-3 to Buffalo, and they were down 7-1 at one point. And then opening day, my Cincinnati Reds had a 3-2 lead going into the ninth inning when Ian Gibaut blew the save opportunity, sending the Reds to a 6-4 opening day defeat, spoiling Terry Francona's managerial debut, too. Of course, you got to love Reds fans after the game. They wanted to cut Gibaut and fire Terry Francona. No, I'm just kidding. They aren't that bad, but, they start the year 0-10. Oh, they're going to be fit to be tied. You can never make a Reds fan 100% happy. All right, this Saturday, as you know, tomorrow, is the Tesla takedown that's planned. Now, you've probably seen the people on social media keying cars, all caught on camera because these dipshits have no idea that Teslas have security cameras. They're finding out now because they're being arrested and finding out they owe thousands of dollars in damages. But when you see these people doing this, okay, clearly these are the dregs of society, the people who have a resentment against achievement because they never had the will to go out and make a living. Not to go after the brass ring themselves. They kind of want to sit around and have it fall in their lap. Now, the one thing life has taught me is that success does not just drop in your lap. You got to work for it. I've never met a lottery winner either. So if you don't have the will to get out and bust your ass and make something of yourself, then, you kind of reap what you sow, right? But if you have the urge to do damage to a Tesla, I want you to look at these people and realize that's who you are. You're one of them. Is that who you want to be? Now, someone pointed out this absurdity yesterday. I thought it was a brilliant observation. The people who own Teslas are mainly Democrats because they're climate change folks, for the most part. And the people attacking their cars are Democrats. So they're kind of fighting with each other, And that's why we call it democratic dipshittery, ladies and gentlemen. All right, naturally, being a radio vet, I've been following this NPR situation closely where they're trying to decide if they need to pull funding for NPR. And I've been for this for years. I mean, the CEO and 87 reporters that work there are all Democrats. Now, they claim to be unbiased. They're not biased reporters at all. But I'll tell you what, you can pull my middle leg and it plays God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols. Because as someone who recruited, interviewed, and hired radio talent for more than 30 years, pat myself on the back there, I interviewed a lot of NPR reporters who were looking for other opportunities. And I found them incapable of fair and balanced reporting because they looked at everything through a liberal lens. I don't think I ever hired anybody that worked for NPR. And it really makes no sense to me for conservative tax dollars to go to fund NPR. It's only 1% of the, some people say, well, it's only 1%. I say, yeah, it's 1%, but it's a lot of money that we can put to taking care of people who actually need it, not NPR. So I say pull the funding or fix NPR, and it'd be relatively simple. Fire the CEO, bring somebody in who understands fair and balanced reporting, get rid of half the Democratic reporters, keep the other half who are really good, based on a merit-based system, and hire in some conservative reporters. And maybe you create some really good Rumble talk shows out of that too. But what do I know about programming radio, right? We received several emails from women who wanted to get in and address the claim of a Swiss study we posted on the Rat's Ass Podcast blog about uncircumcised men being an average of 1 to 2 inches bigger than circumcised men. Bertie from Calabasas wrote in, and she said by her accounts, by her experience, it was 100% true. And she had sensational orgasms with men who were as God made them, as opposed to men who were sliced and diced. So Fleabag tallied up all the numbers, and here's the tally for you. 63% of women who responded said it was 100% true based on their experience. 27% didn't notice any difference at all, and 10% said they needed to do more research. Gave the ladies a pickup line. Find a hot guy, you walk up to him and say, hey, let me ask you a question. Down there, are you as God made you? Oh, yeah, we're going to have some Who's Your Daddy action going on now. All right, let's play some head trauma. Today's round is Pick Your News. I'm going to give you 4 headlines. 3 are false. 1 is true. You have to pick out which one is true. Headline number 1, Bernie Sanders ridiculed when he was asked to spell oligarchy, and he couldn't do it. The oligarchy. Bernie couldn't spell it. Pete Hegseth challenges every Democrat to a game of beer pong. Headline number 3, Donald Trump orders feds to scour monuments and memorials for misspelled words. And headline 4, the users of Viagra find it hard to believe the drug was approved by the FDA 27 years ago. All right, kick it around. I'll have the answer for you a little bit later on in the podcast. All right, who's ready for some loose behavior? It's finally Friday. Let's do it. All right, here's what's happening on the Rat's Ass Podcast X feed. Magic Mitch posted this one. Knowing what you know now, what would you change about your life if you could? Jerry Peterson wrote, after 22 years of marriage to my high school sweetheart and 5 kids, I love my kids, but I wouldn't do it again. You know, when you start your answer with, I love my kids, I don't think you do. Shelley Steele said, I wouldn't waste money on frivolous vacations and would have invested the money in my future. Couldn't agree more. You know, the thing I found out about vacations is that you needed a vacation from the vacation, then you got the bill, and you were like, oh, Jesus H. Christ, I'm going to spend 6 months paying this damn thing off. What's the point? Chubby Greer said, I would have followed my dreams, not those of my parents. And I think this speaks kind of my generation. I think the parents felt, if I'm paying for your education, you're going to do what I tell you to do for a living. My mother hated the idea of me becoming a radio personality. My sister that was close to me was 10 years older than I was, but she had a boyfriend that was a radio personality, and he was kind of a hippie type, rode a Harley that was kind of what they called a chopper in those days. And I went to the radio station when I was probably 7, 8 years old. I was just amazed by it. All the buttons, all the knobs, the sounds, the whole thing just turned me on. So I think subliminally at a very young age, I was drawn to it. But my mother hated the idea, absolutely hated the idea. But because I worked to put myself through school, she didn't have a say on it, right? But she hated it. When are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a real job? When are you going to get a job that matters? And then finally, in 1986, I flew her out to Los Angeles for my wedding and brought her up to Hollywood to the Sunset and Gower Studios. Took her upstairs, walked her into the studio that I worked, had a very beautiful, picturesque window overlooking the city of Los Angeles. And for the first time, she goes, this is where you work. And it was the first time I saw the look in her eye where she was proud of me. Never saw it before. Never saw it before. Then we walked out of the studio and we run into Dick Clark. And my mother loved Dick Clark. I thought she stood there and actually had an orgasm. She almost fainted. I almost had to catch her. But when we walked out, she goes, wow, you work with Dick Clark. And I go, well, Dick Clark's my boss. Yeah, that's when I knew I was right and she was wrong. What a glorious feeling it was. All right, let's get into your celebrity cheese today. Chris Hemsworth, who was known mainly as his, Thor? Did he play Thor, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was Thor. He regrets taking a selfie with pop star Billie Eilish on the Oscar red carpet because it reduced him to being a fanboy. Now, I had the same rule. I never took photos with celebs or musicians that I interviewed for the same reason. I wanted to be respected. I didn't want them to think I was a fan of their work. Even if I was, I didn't want them to think that, right? But now those photos, as the lights have gone down on the career, those photos would have helped tell some pretty damn good stories. So I would tell Chris not to sweat it. Because when the lights go down on his career, he's going to have a nice memory. Sure, it'll be with Billie Eilish, not someone who's had a long, rewarding music career like Miley Cyrus. But I don't think he needs Miley Cyrus photos, does he? All right, the new Betty White Lick It Before You Stick It Forever stamp is here, the postage stamp. I'm told, though, when you lick it, it has a very familiar taste. Now, seeing how Betty was 99 when she died, I'm guessing, Massengale? No, I think maybe Summer's Eve. All right, get out the champagne, start popping the cork, man, because it is 1 year It's the 1-year anniversary of the release of Beyonce's Grammy Award-winning album, Cowboy Carter. Do you have it in your collection? Well, here's what I found out from insiders. The reason that she won the Grammy, by the way, is because she managed to keep it on the country charts for at least 8 seconds. Will Smith has a new album out today, based on a true story is the title. And you might want to check it out because it opens with the phrase, Will Smith is canceled, and immediately gets into the famous Oscar slap where he gave Chris Rock a little crack across the face. You know, keep my wife Jada's name out your mouth. Remember that? So basically, Will is finally telling his side of the story, which begs the question, who gives a rat's ass? All right, the wait is over. Here comes the Rat's Ass Podcast email from our Gmail. This is where you email your questions, comments, and observations to me at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. I respond to them here on the show. No topic is off the table. The more outrageous and salacious, the better, and I do not read your emails in advance. My producer, Fleabag, forwards your name, where you're from, and rewrites them so I can respond rapid fire and on the fly. He's got a hard job. He's got to rewrite some of your nonsense here. But Lori D. of Overland Park, Kansas, writes in, here's a quiz for you, Mojo, my boy. If you were given the choice of a red pill that would pay you $10 million or a blue pill that would allow you to go back and fix all your mistakes, which pill would you choose? Well, Lori, I've done this a few times. Not on the podcast, but obviously, I'm going to take the blue pill and go back and fix all of my mistakes because obviously I know then what I know now. So I don't need the money because I know I'm going to have to invest right away in Microsoft and Apple. And later on down the road, Netflix, Chipotle, Tesla. Oh yeah, I'm taking that blue pill and fixing all my mistakes and ending up with a hell of a lot more than $10 million. All right, Roland C. from Dearborn, Michigan. I met this girl that I really like, but when I checked out her Facebook page, she has a lot of guys as friends. Is this a red flag? Could be, could not be, but you want to check it out, and here's how you do it. If she is friends with a lot of people she went to high school or college with, or both, I think that's definitely a red flag you'll want to get an explanation for anyway. I mean, for the life of me, I don't understand this deal that you went to school with these folks and you knew who they were, but yet you give them an open window to your life. Is it because you want an open window to their life? I mean, my feeling on this whole Facebook thing is, you know what? If you weren't part of my life at all, after college, after 3, 4, 5 years, I don't need to show you anything about my life. What is it, one big high school reunion? I just don't get the attraction with that. I think I just think it's a little nutty. That's all. That's all I'm saying. My little personal Facebook page is for close friends and family only. That's who I want to let into my life. That's been around for the whole ride. These folks that are just hanger-oners who like to collect people just so they can sit back on Facebook and scroll and, oh, let's see what so-and-so's up to. Oh, I would have loved to bang her in high school or college. Yeah, ooh, let's see what she's up to. Did she get fat or is she still hot? All of that stuff. Who gives a rat's ass? My God. Margot P., Carson City, Nevada, says, why is it men have a problem with women having men friends? Well, Margot, everything I've read about this is probably true. It's been proven time and time again. Men and women cannot be friends because 10 times out of 10, the guy is just waiting for the woman to have a weak moment where he can swoop in and get a little who's your daddy action. A little who's your daddy. You're having a weak moment, you're feeling bad about your relationship, you need some comforting. I've been here for you. Yeah, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Yeah, I might blow up your life, but at least I'm getting some satisfaction. That's what that's all about, in my opinion. Cameron F. from Conway, Arkansas says, is it possible for two people who have completely different interests to have a long-term relationship? You know, that's a good question, Cameron. I'm going to say no, because it seems like once you got used to each other, you would eventually end up leading two separate lives. You love to golf, so you go golfing every weekend. She likes to do something else, like maybe she's into book club or whatever it is, and that's what she goes, and she does. So I think that's fine, but I think you also have to have some equal interest, like maybe both of you, like auto racing, for an example. Maybe you're diehard auto racing fans. Maybe you like to go to fancy dinners You got to have some of those things in common, too. All right, Jim S. from East Rutherford, New Jersey said, I'm 18, ready to graduate from high school in a couple of months, and I've been seeing one of my teachers who's 26. Oh, you scallywag. After I graduate, should we keep our relationship secret or go public? You know, you're both of legal age, so I think, God, it's up to the two of you to decide about that. I mean, you're both of legal age, so if it feels right, let the world know about it. Why not? All right, Slick G from Greensboro, North Carolina says, I've got to hear how Fat Vagina got her nickname. Okay. All right, I'm happy to tell you this. All right. I go hang out at a place called Neptune's Net, north of Zuma Beach. And a couple of friends, I'll go down there, 2 or 3 times a year. Moose Knuckle Mike and Camel Toe Candy. That's my nicknames for them for obvious reasons. Fat Vagina got her name. She was a waitress there. Or a server. Pardon me, a server. Got to be politically correct. Do we have to be politically correct, Fleabag? He says no. Okay, waitress. At Neptune's Net. First time we met her, let's just say she could use some Ozempic, okay? So it was FAT Vagina to start. But when she came to the table, she would always lean against the table and, the vagina area would kind of lay on the table. So I gave her the nickname Fat Vagina. That's what I did. And when winter comes, you don't go because, the ocean's kind of cold. You're not hanging out at the beach or anything like that. But 6 months later, showed up at Neptune's, and there she was. She was still working, but guess what? She might have taken the Ozempic because Fat Vagina was hot. Very hot. I mean, she always had a really cute face, but now she was smoking hot. So she might have taken the Ozempic. Maybe she did it the natural way, but she went from FHAT vagina to PHAT vagina. So she's still Fat Vagina, even though she's smoking hot now. All right, if you have any observations, comments, or questions, send them to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. All right, here's your head trauma answer. Today's round, pick your news. I'm going to give you 4 headlines. 3 are false. 1 is true. Well, I've already given you the headlines. I'm going to give them to you again, but which one is true? Bernie Sanders ridiculed when he was asked to spell oligarchy, and he couldn't do it. Pete Hegseth challenges every Democrat to a game of beer pong. Trump orders feds to scour monuments and memorials for misspelled words. And the users of Viagra find it hard to believe the drug was approved by the FDA 27 years ago. Do you know what the answer is? It is D. The users of Viagra find it hard to believe the drug was approved by the FDA 27 years ago. Have you used it? Have you been that way for more than 4 hours? God, that scared the hell out of me. So, yeah, I'm walking around like that, 10 hut for 4 hours and having to go to the emergency room. Oh my God, I wouldn't want to see that bill. All right, if you missed it, go see a doctor about your head trauma and get well soon. All right, I'm off to go save the Teslas, but I do have one more thing for you today. A girl's favorite song will tell you more about her than her lips ever will. And I was thinking, after I read that maybe this is a good opening pickup line, guys, because women love it when you're curious about them. So you catch each other's eye, and you approach her, and you say, I'm kind of curious about something. What's your favorite song? I bet she doesn't get that question very often. Now, she might say, none of your damn business, which means you never had a chance in the first place. But if she answers, conversation begins. And if they say, well, I don't have a favorite song, you say, can I help you find one? Humor. She likes funny guys. And it implies that you want to spend time with her. Try it out. Try it out. See if it works for you. All right, let's do a few shout-outs to Rat Nation today. Colleen Hayes in Colorado. David Wallace in Idaho. Paul Sanderson from Wisconsin. And in New Mexico, Madison Miller. Steve Goldsmith in Nevada. Thanks, guys, for joining the club. Appreciate it. All right, that's it. We're going to wrap up this episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Be sure to check out the new ratsasspodcast.com to check out the social pages for us, listen to podcasts, join Rat Nation, and you can also read the blog and find out who won today's Dumbass of the Week award. We'll do this again on Monday, March 31st. Take care of each other. Have a great weekend. And thanks for dropping by the Rat's Ass Podcast.